Okay, so here we have our patient. And to save time with this video, I have spoken with her beforehand about her problem. She says that she has osteoporosis, and she's had it for 10 years. In the last couple months, it has gotten worse, and she's had low back pain, upper back pain, pretty much continually for the last 2 meses, desde hace cuánto? For the last 2 months. Right now, she says while she's laying down, the pain is only 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. But if she makes a movement with her waist, ¿puedes hacer el movimiento que dices que ocasiona un poco así? Okay. ¿Se sube a cuánto?
Oh, sí, 6.
So the pain increases to 6 out of 10. So it's 3 out of 10 while she's resting, 6 out of 10 when she tries to move her waist, especialmente el lado derecho o izquierdo?
Derecho.
Okay, so it's especially when she tries to lift her right waist. So I'm going to do a diagnosis with neoclassical style and then the treatment, and we'll see how our patient is. ¿Sí? ¿Aquí molesta? Sí, okay.
Ahí.
Oh.
Ahí, sí,
¿Sí?
ahí,
Mucho.
sí.
Okay.
Ajá.
So her diagnosis would be predominance of ether due to excess in its yin form and deficiency in its yang form and deficiency in the yin and yang of earth. You may not understand that diagnosis, but it's okay. So let's do the treatment. You'll notice with every needle I place, I'm always checking. I'm always putting the needle in for something very specific. So after every needle, I'm checking to make sure I hit the point. I invented the system, and sometimes I miss points. So I need to have feedback with every point. Better?
No.
¿Sí? And el otro, aquí dijiste.
Ay.
Okay. ¿Cómo está? Okay.
Good.
Puedes poner su cara ahí. Como la. So, with every point I'm doing, it's always for a specific reason. I'm never just placing a point, crossing my fingers, hoping that it will do what it needs to do. Every time I place it, I know exactly what I need, and then I will check to make sure it did it. So let's check one more time. Dun-dun. Oh, there's still some pain.
Menos. Okay.
Okay. All right. So that was the treatment. I'm going to place 2 more needles to pull energy out. With this treatment, I do know what the patient has. I know that she has osteoporosis. I know her lower back is in pain right now. Normally the cervicals as well, but right now it's not that painful. But the pain was in 3 out of 6 in resting position, 3 out of 10 in resting position, and 6 out of 10 when she tries to move her waist. So I did not treat her back. I did not even take her back into consideration, and I'll explain why later. I'm looking for completely something else. So now we're going to ask our patient how she's feeling. ¿Cómo se siente ahora la espalda?
No, mucho mejor.
¿Sí?
Sí.
So she says much better. So let's try to be a little more specific. De 0 a 10, ¿en cuánto está ahorita acostada?
No lo siento.
Okay. Y cuando intentes mover la cadera, ¿lo puedes?
Muy poco de este lado, pero es mínimo.
Como si tuvieras que poner un número.
1.
1. Okay. So the pain has decreased 100% as she's in resting position. And when she tries to move her waist, it's gone down to 1 out of 10. It's gone from 6 out of 10 to 1 out of 10. I want to do one more thing to see if we always want 100% in every treatment. That's the goal. Maybe it doesn't always happen, but we try. ¿Puedes intentar una vez más moverla?
Sí, nada más.
Okay.
Ya, ajá.
Okay. So now the pain has decreased to 0 out of 10. Again, we're not trying to treat. Our goal is not just her back pain. Our goal is to open everything. And we're going to be explaining that right now. Y si puedes sentarte para ver cómo se sienta. I'm going to ask the patient to sit up to see how she feels. Whoa, así.
Very good.
Okay, she says, очень хорошо. Okay, thank you very much. So in the case that we just saw, you may be asking, is her osteoporosis gone? No, it's not gone. With this treatment, we were able to relieve the symptoms, and with more treatments, let's say 3 to 5, maybe more in this case, we would at least be able to stop the additional damage which osteoporosis can do, and to leave the patient pain-free. But that, again, would take more than one treatment. So now the question, what is the action? I mentioned that I wasn't treating her back. I wasn't trying to treat any particular part of her body. I was trying to treat her entire body. So what is happening in this treatment? The needle is not making the effect. The needle I placed in a part of her foot, that is one in her hand. That is not going to have, there's no physiological explanation as to why that needle touching her skin would have such an effect. Now let's use a metaphor here. I want to suggest to you that I can turn the lights on and off in this room with just my hands. I don't want to scare you, but I'm going to do it. Are you ready? And I can also turn them off. So what just happened here? You're probably not very impressed. I just touched a piece of plastic, the light came on. 21st century, you're not at all impressed. Why? Because you understand perfectly. There's actually a structure. There is a schema of wires, of electricity behind the walls, which are helping to do what I just did. You understand, when I touch the plastic, the energy current is open and it flows to the lights. When I touch the plastic again, the energy current is closed and the electricity doesn't make it to the lights. I'm just using a mechanism that already exists. And this is very important. In the same way with acupuncture, I am using a mechanism that already exists. I'm not trying to turn on the lights with a needle. I'm just trying to cause a chain reaction. But if we were in the 15th century, we'd be posed with the problem, what to do? We see that this man touches the wall with his finger and the lights turn on. We see that he touches the wall with his finger and the lights turn off. So, if in the 15th century you may say, oh, burn him, kill him, he's a witch. He's touching the wall and it makes lights go on and off. Kill him before he turns the sun out and we all die. So, what could we do here? There's another option. We could put an altar on the wall, against the wall. The wall is sacred, it is spiritual, because someone touches this wall and makes light come on. 15th century, this is a possibility. Maybe we would make an altar like this. Another option would be to tear down the wall. Let's see what is behind this wall. Of course, this is a metaphor. Touching the switch is when I place a needle. The result, the pain goes away, The problem gets better is the lights come on, the lights come off. But if we want to understand what is happening, it's necessary to tear down this wall. We want to discover, we need some objective way of discovering what is happening. So there are a couple of options here. We need some sort of methodology. Are we trying to understand how to make the lights come on and off? Are we trying to understand where the energy is coming from? Where's the nuclear plant? Where is the power source of all of this? Well, let's look at one of my favorite scientists, Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton made some amazing formulas for gravity. He could understand how to predict the movements of planets. Even today, NASA, the American space program, probably the Russian also, when they send an astronaut into space, when they send a satellite, they still use the formulas of Sir Isaac Newton because they're much more simple than later formulas that came. But Newton himself says, the cause of gravity is what I do not pretend to know. Newton did not know how gravity functioned, but he could predict its effects. And this is very important. Sir Isaac Newton was not trying to discover what it is, and he did not know what it was. But even so, he knew how, with algorithms, with formulas, you could take advantage of it with amazing effects. It wasn't until much later that Einstein comes along, and he did discover, we think, how gravity exists. Sir Isaac Newton believed that there were attractions between two bodies, and Einstein says no, space is curved. Mass will curve space, and that will cause, objects are moving in a straight line, but space is curved, and this is causing that objects to approach one another. So here we have two different things. Isaac Newton never knew why gravity worked, but he could explain it incredibly, to such an extent that we still use his formulas. So here, when we're doing our investigation, going into the wall to see these cables, we have to consider how something works versus why something works. Sir Isaac Newton was exploring how something works. How can I predict gravity, how it will act? Whereas Einstein explained not only how something works, he explained why gravity worked. Well, Sir Isaac Newton, I love him, so you'll see a couple of quotes from him. But he had a very beautiful quote. "'Tis much better to do with a little certainty and leave the rest for others that come after, than to explain all things by conjecture without making sure of anything." So today, podemos quitar la diapositiva. Today, instead of trying to explain everything, how acupuncture works, I don't think, honestly, we have the capacity to do that. I don't think science has reached far enough to explain it. Most of the explanations, such as, when you place a needle, there's changes in the limbic system, or it creates extra serotonin or dopamine. Yes, those are effects which needles can cause in the body, but those are not, they're not explaining specific effects. It's a very general effect. So I think at best, it's a pseudoscience nowadays. We're using science to try to explain acupuncture, where I don't think we're quite there. So I don't want to try to do that. What I'd like to do is a bit more what Sir Isaac Newton was doing. Let's try to understand how it works. So at first, I want to take a look at meridians. The meridians in the body is a very, all of us know about them. But I want to just, the first approach I took when I was creating neoclassical acupuncture, the first discovery I made was how to open and close meridians. And a meridian, I guess we often compare them to a river. So here we see a river. And I would say this is like the meridian. But if we look at the rocks in the river and we draw a line from one rock to another, we're seeing push the line between one rock and another. This is analogous to the acupuncture points. These rocks, you can imagine them as acupuncture points. And if we draw a line from one rock to another, great, that's all within the meridian, but it is not necessarily the meridian. The meridian is the whole river, the entire river, not just what links one point to another. Which leads us to an interesting question. Are meridians lines or are they bands? What people have done is take the acupuncture points and just like children playing connect the dots, they are drawing lines from one point to another saying this is a meridian. So here we have one of my favorites, gallbladder. It looks like the gallbladder is moving, the energy moves up around the ear, around the head, comes down, blah, and is like a ball bouncing around. I would suggest to you that this is not the flow of the gallbladder meridian. These points are like rocks in a river. If these points belong to gallbladder meridian, we know that gallbladder meridian is here, but it does not flow in a chaotic manner. It's more like a band which comes down through the head. So let's, with the patient, take a look at the meridians very briefly, and I want to show you, just like Sir Isaac Newton had formulas to understand gravity, they are actually algorithms, formulas to understand exactly which meridians will open with which point. So let's see this in action with a patient. So if we're going to take a look at the cables behind the wall, we need an objective way of trying to discover what is there. So the meridians would be our first approach. As I said, meridians are bands. They are not lines connecting one point to another. Here we'll press, let's try her stomach meridian, gallbladder meridian, and bladder meridian. Podemos poner su cara? We're going to put her face so you can see reactions. To see how big stomach, gallbladder, and bladder meridian are, I'm going to open her, let's say, I'm going to open her stomach and bladder meridians, and I will leave her gallbladder meridian closed. When I refer to a closed meridian, I am referring to pain or sensitivity along the meridian. The classics say, where energy is stagnant, there will be pain. Where there is pain, there is stagnant energy. So, just pressing her leg, we see there is blockage in the stomach meridian, blockage in gallbladder, and blockage in bladder. We're going to open stomach and bladder, so we can see how big is gallbladder. Because if gallbladder is still closed and the meridians on the other side are open, we can see how big it is. So I'm using an algorithm that I often use to open two meridians and leave another meridian closed. So let's try stomach. How is it? ¿Cómo está? Let's try bladder. Watch what happens when I touch gallbladder. It's still painful. So we want to see how big gallbladder is. Look for the painful area. Stomach is open. There should be no pain along. So where does the pain begin? Just when I go over the side, there's pain here. There's pain in middle. There's pain below. Until I reach beneath the leg. So we can see here the gallbladder meridian is this size. So this is just a brief look at how we can begin trying to explore the wires behind the wall. You need an objective manner. So palpation for me is the most important, because instead of reading a pulse to see if a meridian is open or closed, using theory to see if it is open or closed, or using a machine to see if it is open, we can just palpate the meridian. We go directly to the meridian to see if it is open or closed. It's very easy to do. And once we have an objective way of seeing this, we can begin to form formulas, algorithms, some way of predicting which meridians will open with which point. So, with our next case, I would like to treat his problem just symptomatically and not treat the organs, not treat the meridians, not treat anything else, just his symptoms. And then we're going to do something with that. So first, our next patient has low back pain. It's in the center of his back. To save time, so we don't have to translate from Spanish to English to Russian, to save time, I've asked him, and he says the pain level, it's not painful, no duele cuando estás acostado, no? Okay, when he's laying down, there's no pain, it's 0 out of 10. But when he bends his back like this, the pain shoots up to 6 out of 10 on the pain scale. So what I'm going to do is just treat his symptoms first. I am going to do a diagnosis first, but I'm not going to use it. And later I'll explain why. So, okay. Oh, ay, por Dios. Okay. Okay. Take note now. Whenever I'm doing this, there is you notice intense pain on the sides. I'm not going to treat that. I'm only going to treat symptomatic treatment for his low back. Nothing more. Notice also when I press the legs, there is intense pain. ¿Puedes poner la imagen de su cara ahí? We're going to put the video. He is wearing a mask. COVID is kind of bad right now. But I want you to see when I press, just in general, the meridians on his legs, there is intense pain. And I want you also to take that into consideration. But I'm not going to treat that, just going to treat his symptoms. I can't see the point, but I'm hoping I hit it. Okay. Espero que no lo metí en tu labio, ¿eh? Ok. Jesús, ¿puedes sentarte a ver ahora, a probar tu espalda? A ver cómo está. Cuidado cuando te estén. Ok. Si puede ser el mismo movimiento, así. Ok. 0 a 10, ¿en cuánto está? 1. So he says the pain has gone down from ¿cuánto dijiste antes? 6, no? 6. The pain was in 6 and it's been reduced to 1. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to erase this point. First, I want to see, we did get rid of his symptoms, but did we really have an effect on his entire body? So we're going to ask Jesus to lay down again. Si puedes acostarte. So remember, when I was palpating Jesus initially, we noticed there were painful meridians. There were something here, meridians closed on his side. So I want to take a look at that and see if there's been any change there. Puedes poner la cara para que puedan ver. So we see there's still intense pain. Oh. I feel it like a wall here. And the meridians, let's see. Yeah. So the meridians I'm not looking at particular meridians, just in general, he has many meridians closed on his leg. So we have done something for his pain, for his symptoms, but it doesn't look like we've really affected him on a deeper level. So what I'm going to do is we're going to erase our treatment. I'm going to do something to make it as if he never had had a treatment. So we can try something. Okay, Jesus, ¿puedes ponerte a pie otra vez? He doesn't know what's going to happen. I don't think he speaks English. Do you speak English? No. No, okay. See? Okay. I'm sorry. ¿Seguro? ¿Duele? Ok. Boquita arriba. De 0 a 10, ¿en cuánto duele? 4. So the pain has returned to 4 out of 10. The pain, sorry. I'm only doing this for demonstration. Only for demonstration. I don't do this in the clinic. Okay, boquita arriba. So the pain has returned. Now it's 4 out of 10. So now, the first time we treated just his symptoms, and we saw it did not affect these yang wei mai, the 2 meridians running through here. We saw it did not affect the meridians which were closed before. Now, this time, I'm going to do a treatment, but I'm not going to take in consideration his back pain. I'm going to forget about his back pain and just treat from a deeper level. So let's see if we treat from this deeper level, if we'll be able to change the obstacles, if we'll be able to open the meridians, all organs, if everything will open. Because remember, our goal is not just to get rid of the pain. Our goal is not just to even to just cure the problem. Our goal is for his entire body to be working optimally. So now I'm going to do a full diagnosis. We'll do the same, we'll do a treatment which will be very different. Our orientation now is not towards the symptom. Our orientation is only towards the energetic imbalance. Oh, okay. Here, okay. Uy. Okay. So if you've read my book, I'll go ahead and tell you, you may notice the diagnosis here is late summer, and he also has his yang wei is closed. Yang wei mai is closed on both sides. I think there's something else too. I may have forgotten. Okay. So, let's treat this first. Yeah. ¿Este lado falta o no?
No.
Okay. So notice, when I'm trying to open both sides of yang wei mai, I put the needle in, then I check, I make sure they opened, and now I'm going to go to the next. He also had late summer. ¿Molesta aquí? No, ya no, ¿seguro? Ya noto un poquito, okay. So late summer, actually a pseudo element, which he had, late summer has reduced some, but it's still painful. ¿Cómo está ahora? Okay. So, with what I've done here, I've treated what I call a pseudo element. It's a very long story. This is a short talk. But that is, we could say, the first domino. I've treated the first domino. I've also treated what I call an obstacle which he had, which should now allow his entire body to open up. And when I say his entire body, I'm referring to all of the meridians should now be open. We'll check that now. His symptoms, of course, should have disappeared. We'll check that too. And any other pains which he has should, even though we don't know about them, they should disappear too. So let's try it. First, let's see if this treatment on the elemental level has affected the meridian level. First, let me put in what I call the sweeper. I do this after every treatment to pull out any errant energy. When you open up the entire body, when you open up all of the meridians, sometimes there's energy which doesn't really know where to assimilate. And that energy can go to the head and cause headaches, insomnia, anxiety, different things. If you're only if you're only getting rid of someone's pain or you're using recipes, it's not necessary. I only use it when you open everything. So let's take a look at his meridians now. So we can see on the meridian level, everything is opened. we've already seen on his extraordinary meridians have opened. Okay, so now the real test. Let's see. We've seen these dominoes are falling. We treat it on the root level. It's a pseudo element in this case, but the dominoes have fallen and it's opened up the meridians, and let's see if it reaches the symptomatic level. Ok, Jesús, si puedes sentarte a probar la espalda, si puedes poner por acá, haz el mismo movimiento. Okay, queda un poquito. Okay, he says there's like 0.1 left in pain. So I'm just going to do something to pull out any extra energy that may have been sitting in the back. It's just a 1-second needle. You've seen whenever I use the sweeper or I use a point which is just to pull out errant energy, I don't even leave the needle in. ¿Puedes probar otra vez? Ah, ahí está.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Jesus says the pain has been reduced. Ya puedes cambiar de cámara. Now Jesus says the pain has gone reduced to 0. So the big difference here, when I'm using a recipe, when I'm using a point just to treat, gracias Jesus, muchas gracias. When I'm using a point, ¿estás bien?
Sí.
That's okay. I thought he was dizzy for a second. Normally treatments are not this short. Normally I let the patient sit, but since this is a short talk, for time's sake, the treatments are very short. But it's very important to note here, when I did this treatment, on the symptomatic level, yes, the symptoms disappeared, and wonderful. The patient is coming for that. They're coming because they need alleviation of their symptoms. But we did notice that treatment that I did on the symptomatic level did not touch the meridians. It didn't open meridians which were closed. It didn't open extraordinary meridians that were closed. And now when we go to a deeper level, we see that everything opens, symptoms included. Now that we have seen the order of the dominoes, how one level can affect the other level, I'd like to do one more treatment so that we can really see this, now that we understand it, so that we can see it in action. The case we have, I hope it works, is a case of a torn muscle somewhere in her left arm, we'll see. She didn't bring the study, the ultrasonido, so we could see it. But let's try this, and we're going to I'll be testing her on the level of meridians, element, the obstacles, if she has any, and we'll be able to see how treating one level can affect the others. So toma larga. So here we have our patient. As I mentioned, it's left arm. She has decreased mobility. Let's just try a different ranges of motion. ¿Puedes levantar tu brazo así? Okay. Aquí.
No, está bien.
Okay. And in this movement, there's no problem. In this direction, ¿puedes hacer en esta dirección hacia arriba?
Aquí, así siento como que...
Okay. So at about 90 degrees, the pain begins. ¿Puedes más? Oh. So she has a very limited range of motion. At about 90 degrees, the pain begins, and she can only bring her arm to about 120 degrees. So arriving here, what is the pain level?
I would say like 8.
Oh, she speaks English. So 8, okay. So when you arrive here, the pain level is 8.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to do a full diagnosis, and I'll mention if I see meridians or what element or obstacles. Oh wait, okay. Okay. No, just here. Okay. Belly button here? Okay. Oh, okay. So, here is a case of predominance of ether due to a deficiency in the yin form of earth. That's just the name of the diagnosis. She also has the lower right chongmai is closed, one of the extraordinary meridians, lower right quadrant. And let's see, meridians. Okay. So she has a lot of, not important exactly which, but it's spleen, liver, and kidney are closed. So we have different levels. The most superficial, she has several meridians closed in her right leg. In terms of organs, at least she has front spleen alarm, and she has a lower right quadrant of chongmai. You don't need to understand this exactly, but I'm just showing different levels of treatment. So I'm going to treat her on the elemental level, and let's see which levels this affects. When the dominoes begin to fall, let's see if it affects level of the obstacle, level of meridian, and the symptomatic level. Okay. How's it now?
Doesn't hurt.
Okay. How about here now?
Wow.
Okay. Puedes poner cara para que puedan ver. So, we've treated her on the elemental level. I've only treated the first domino, just the first domino. So, I'm going to put in my sweeper. So we see it first. We're fine? Okay. Okay, so we've all that I know is I have treated the first domino. I don't know if it has affected all of the other levels. It's possible. If the obstacle didn't fall, it will not reach the meridian. Let's see. Is the obstacle? See. Chongmai, okay. And the meridians? So we can see, we threw the first domino, the element. It has taken away an obstacle, an extraordinary meridian. It's also opened the meridians in the legs. Now for the big test. Let's see how her shoulder is doing. ¿Puedes mismo lo que estabas haciendo aquí? There's still limited range of motion.
But it doesn't hurt. It's like it slides well.
So she says the pain is gone, but there's still a limited range of motion. So let's give it a few seconds to see. Because I do not want to treat on the superficial level, on the symptomatic level, unless it's necessary. So let's give her one more minute. Sometimes with this type of problem, with many, it needs time for the muscle to disinflame or for various changes to occur on the physiological level. Can you try again? Oh, there it goes. Okay.
It still hurts a little bit.
So she's saying she now has a much better range of motion, but there is pain when she arrives at this level. So we're not getting this 100%, but the pain began at 90 degrees. Now it's beginning at about 140 degrees. Can you try one more time? Okay. Yeah. So it took maybe a minute for the change to occur. Wow. But so just to recap, I think we'll use our diagram to be able to recap this treatment. The intention of this report today has been to give you an empirical way of looking at the different levels of treatment that there are, and also an empirical way of putting them in an order so that we can take advantage of this domino effect. The first treatment was a general treatment with our patient with osteoporosis. The second treatment, I showed you that there is an objective way to diagnose and to treat the meridians. In the next treatment, I showed whenever you treat on a symptomatic level, this last domino, it will not affect the meridians. But when I erased the treatment and then we treated on an elemental level, it was able to arrive at all the dominoes. So here we have an objective way of seeing how these levels are ordered in the energetic system. It's not just theory, it's really clinically, empirically verifiable. And in this last treatment, we saw, we did a diagnosis on the meridian level, the symptomatic level. We saw there was also an obstacle and also an element present. So when I treated on the elemental level, we were able to verify the obstacles disappeared, which was Chongmai, she had closed, lower right. Also, the organ we found, the alarm of spleen we found, was deactivated. The meridians in the right leg were opened and the symptoms disappeared. This is a quick way we can verify of all of these levels of treatment. You may have noticed that today I haven't spoken much about what an element is. It is the heart of this treatment. It is the most important aspect. But with the limited time, the main theme of today was the dominoes, not one aspect of treatment. But the elemental aspect is essential. And here we see, this is the diagram we use, north-south, 3 axes of north-south, east-west, and heaven-earth. We see this same structure all over the world. Here we have on the right side, this is 2,600 years before, 2,600 years before Christ. It's an early version of a cross, north, south, east, west, earth with heaven around. On the bottom, we have the Zbruch idol, which is in Krakow, which we have heaven, earth, the 4 directions. We also have in the lower right, the flying people of Papantla, which is here in Mexico, doing a ritual, north, south, east, west, heaven, and earth. And we also see in this Russian iconography, the same cross, north, south, east, west, heaven and earth is implied. So, puedes quitar la diagrama. Entonces, what we have here on the elemental level is really essential. I talk about it for several hundred pages in my book, but I hope in this limited time I was able to give you a decent understanding of how the level of dominoes can really be used in a miraculous way if understood properly. Спасибо за внимание. Thank you all.